Aloha mai kako, a Komamati Curtain Call, a program of reviews, previews, interviews, and features of and or with the great art and artists on Maui and beyond. I'm Paul James Brown. After 23 years as the director of the Schaefer International Gallery, Neida Bangerter has retired. Her able assistant, Jonathan Y. Clark, is now the third gallery director and the youngest. I asked him about his vision for the gallery. So Jonathan, you're the third director of this gallery. You're the youngest. What's your vision for the future?
I think it's to, looking at the trajectory of this space over the past, 25, almost 30 years, I think there's been different visions with Daryl and Neida, and I think there's been a real elevation over the years of the caliber of the exhibits. And for me, it's about continuing that level of quality, but always looking for a mix of different viewpoints so that we are presenting our mission, which is a broad spectrum of human experience through the arts, for there to be always an eye for innovation and for something fresh, and to bring in viewpoints, whether it's from outside of Hawaii or from within Hawaii, to foster both of those forms of expression so that people are really, every time they come in through the doors, they get a very different experience, and the greater picture becomes this really fulfilling spectrum of, year after year, to see so many different forms of art, backgrounds of artists who are being represented in this space, for it to always be a space where someone can find something new.
So we're coming to a point where, Betty Hay's gone, Wilma's gone, and there are so many others who are in that age bracket.
Right.
Have you been thinking about retrospectives of some of the outstanding artists on the island?
We do retrospectives from time to time. It's one of the many missions, or one of the many parts of our mission, along with, say, juried shows, curated and invitational shows, traveling shows. But we are always looking at, the careers of artists, those who have decades of experience and those who are in their emerging stages of their career, and always looking for ways to, whether it's inclusion in a group exhibit, encouraging to enter a juried exhibit, or at times doing retrospectives. It's all part of the bigger picture. We do have 2 retrospectives coming up in December, Marcia Morse and George Willard from Oahu. So they both have 4+ decades of very varied work. And for Marcia, she's also got, her record of art writing that will be integrated into that show. His first show is world-class in every way. Walking into the gallery is like stepping out of Maui and into a gallery at the Met, the Whitney, or the Guggenheim. The show is called Anima, Doorways of Perception. This exhibit is from an Hawaiian island-based artists collective called, strangely, Consensual Lack of Reality, whose members are Pierre Fichefeux, Stephen Freedman, Andrezej Kramarz, and Daniel Sheinfeld Rodriguez. Anima means life in Latin, and for some of us of a certain age, that subtitle will bring us back to Aldous Huxley's autobiographical mescaline-induced journey into psychedelia in 1953, The Doors of Perception, published in 1956. That was the inspiration for the name of the great groundbreaking band, The Doors. When you see this exhibit, it has psychedelic elements to it without ingesting any illegal substances. The viewer will find themselves transported into emotional and intellectually challenging realms. Every artist explores a different media, and yet they all work harmoniously. Mr. Clark should be proud of his first exhibit, and if this is a preview of what is to come, we are indeed in for a magical mystery tour of world-class aestheticism. Stephen Freedman is a ceramicist whose work looks like it would be at home in The Art of Trash. Bina is stoneware with black iron oxide and chino glaze. Bina means intuitive understanding or contemplation. Mr. Freedman uses the chino glaze to make his work look as if they were melting. This is the second time Andrezej Kramarz has exhibited in the Schaefer International Gallery. The viewer may remember his 2014 show, Piece of Land, where he juxtaposed beautiful, big, peaceful images of places in Poland where a narrator tells of unspeakable atrocities committed there during World War II. And he curated Stefania Gordova's portrait photography work from 1921 to 1937.
This time, Mr. Kramarz has taken images from glass plates and negatives and manipulated them to create new images, which take the viewer on a journey into Impressionism and Expressionism. Mr. Kramarz leaves his images untitled to allow the viewer to find what speaks to them without the influence of intention, titles often impart. In another series, Mr. Kramarz discovered a photo album from a town in pre-war Poland. He used laser-cutting giclée to carefully turn the people in the photos into silhouettes and shadows of their former selves. Once again, making a profound statement about what probably happened to these people a few years or months later, and leaving the viewer verklempt. It is a brilliant reinterpretation of what was into what was to be. Next is the minimalist work of Venezuelan architect-sculptor Daniel Sheinfeld Rodriguez. He calls these totems. This one is lovers. He uses common construction lumber, in this case pressure-treated fir. For this series, he breaks them using industrial tools. There's a hashtag next to the label where the viewer may see a video of the process he employs to create these works. This one is called Hold Me. Here is a perfect example of what I was discussing about titles. If there was no title, I defy the viewer, presuming they are Christian, not to see a holy image. But the title transforms that experience. Mr. Rodriguez also works in what he calls carbonara. The artist takes a cluster of hot embers of coal and places them over common plywood sheeting, slowly disintegrating the material in spaces and leaving it in others. The result is an overwhelming trip into the textures and process of the work. There is no action other than time and fire, and no other materials than burnt wood over wood.
This piece by Mr. Rodriguez Gates of Self, made of 16 4x8 charred plywood pallets, graphite, charcoal, oil, pastel, and polyurethane, dominates the gallery. I wanted the viewer to get a sense of its size, so I asked my companion, Pat Rouse, to stand by this immense, overwhelming work. It brought to mind the great revolutionary abstract painter Jackson Pollock if he worked in 3 dimensions. Like Mr. Pollock, whose paintings have an overwhelming sense of motion, the charring lines across the top panels draw the viewer in as if being sucked down rapids, or perhaps more spiritually ascending into the heavens. The explosive assemblage of painted wood affixed across the lower panels gives the area a sense of conflagration. The title informs the viewer of the artist's intention, and then the upper panels begin to look like bars on an entrance gate, and if one were to push them open, all the lower detritus would be behind the gates. It is an amazing piece, and belongs in a major museum.
Now we come to the tar paper sun prints of Pierre Fichefeux. He uses roofing tar paper scrolls. They are bleached by the sun for 3 months on the slopes of Mauna Loa. He installs them in the open air. He borrows small pieces of volcanic rock and collects pieces of man-made machines and assembles them together, which then, from the exposure of the sun, rain, and wind, large format prints are created. By developing his images on the ground and using the elements as a photographic revealer, Mr. Fichefeux creates amazing stories. The Schaefer International Gallery is open Tuesday, Saturday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. and until 7:30 p.m. for select Castle Theater and Yokuchi Pavilion shows. Admission is free. The exhibit continues until June 10th. Well, that's Curtain Call for this week. Mahalo nui loa for tuning in. I'm Paul James Brown. Ahui ho!